Welcome to the show, Mitch.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, so what are you busy with these days?
Relaxing and trying to put back on my 16 kilos that I've lost in the last 8 months.
So you returned from the base camp a week ago.
Yes, yeah. I got back a week ago. Well, just over a week ago, was back from the summit and back to Kathmandu about 6 days ago.
All right. So you started doing this thing, and this looks like quite mammoth when you think on how did you conceive this whole idea? How did this even pop up in your mind?
It's like a combination of crazy childhood dreams all rolled into one ultimate adventure. When I was 5 years old, my grandmother gave me a book about Everest, and it made me always dream about Everest. But as I got older, my dream was always to climb Everest from zero, to go from zero sea level to the top of the world. And I left the Royal Marines in 2021, and then I immediately rowed across the Atlantic Ocean. So my first big expedition was to row 5,000 kilometers across an open ocean. And it was during this time, 7 weeks of open ocean, lots of time to think, 12 hours a day of rowing. I had this idea, it pops into my head. I just remember swimming. I just remember thinking, if I swim the English Channel, because the swimming the English Channel is also something that I always dreamed of, very much. 5 times more people have summited Everest than have swam across the English Channel. So it's kind of much more higher failure rate as well. So I was like, okay, so if I do this and then Everest, I remember I had a moment where I just had like an inspiration, and I was like, it just clicked to my head. If I link the middle together, it becomes a triathlon. It becomes like a big ultra kind of challenge. So if I swim the channel, I can then bicycle across the world to India, and then from India, from the ocean, from sea level, then run and trek to Everest and climb it. And it just came together in this one crazy idea.
So when I was researching about you, I just come to know about the untimely demise of your father, and I was quite intrigued to know that it really shaped you up rather than breaking you to be something different. It just made you something different. Yeah. So is it like you channelize your pain into purpose?
Yes, absolutely. It's one of the main messages from my trip, and the message is, when you lose people, grief, adversity is not a negative. All it is a small change in the way you think, a small change in mindset, and you can channel adversity into pure power, into something that can make you, rather than hinder you, it can make you achieve your wildest dreams. And for me, my dad was always a big inspiration. He wasn't like me, but he still had the same concept of living life to the full, So when he died, all it was for me was just a confirmation that I'm going to make him proud. I'm going to make him go beyond whatever, anything he ever dreamed of and anything I ever dreamed of. So yeah, it's just such a important message, that everyone loses people. We lose people every day, but use that as a power, use that as a driving force to push you further than you've ever dreamed.
So I come to know that your mother is still in the town here in Kathmandu along with you, right? So does that mean are you really into the family?
Yes, massively, yeah. I mean, I've always been very close to my mother, very close. She's been amazing my whole life, even more so since my dad died. And also my sister as well. She couldn't make it, unfortunately, but she's a big rock of mine as well, and big inspiration as well. She's always been there. So, yeah, it's just so strange to have my mother here in Kathmandu. She doesn't travel very well, and it's incredible, yeah.
So, what's the importance of family in your life? As you mentioned that your father's demise has shaped your journey towards whatever you are today, and your still mother is there to support you through your thick and thins. So, as a mountaineer, as somebody, a record holder, a recognized person, and not just that, as a human also, what is the significance of a family into your life?
Most of it is positive. It's just, you have a rock and support network behind you, and it makes you kind of grounded as well. It also makes you a little bit more cautious, on the top of Everest when I had to step around two dead bodies. It made me remember, I promised my family I'd be home, I'd get home safe. So it kind of gives you the extra. It's a good thing because it makes you a little bit more cautious.
A driving force.
It's a driving force, but also, makes you a little bit more less selfish, I would say, because you have other people to think about.
Yeah, I mean, like, I was asking this because, in Nepal, generally for the Western society, it is believed that after 18 years, the children, or let's say the child, gets away from parents. And then even going to the restaurant, there's this thing called, you have to pay your bill on your own. The foreigners would consider this as, let's say, independence. But in Nepali society, we are quite into, family. And then we think that it's more of a loveless kind of thing not to pay for your relative or let's say your family members. But how interesting and how fascinating this is to me, that you still stick to your family despite you have made this massive record. I mean, why and how?
It's just, it will always be the most important thing. They're the reason you're there. They're the reason you're the only reason. I know it's it's been I've had a bit of a whirlwind childhood, but like the reason why I'm here is because of the love and support of family, and friends. So yeah, it's the most important thing in the world.
So you talked about triathlon, right? And you're a triathlon athlete. So why this triathlon? I mean, it is just for the namesake?
I mean, it's more a journey. It's more of it's a 5-stage event. It's not even a triathlon. It's not by definition. It was a swim. It's a swim, cycle, run, but then trek, climb. So it's a 5-stage journey. It's not really a triathlon. It's just what some people have labelled it. It's not, necessarily a triathlon. It's just a journey. The longest climb of Everest in history and a 13,000 kilometer journey.
So you're doing this for a purpose, right? For
Yes,
Safsim,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
If I'm pronouncing this correct.
That's it.
Safsim,
That's
right?
correct, yeah.
So what is it about? Can you tell us something about this thing?
Yeah, just an amazing small organisation that's just been open for 4 years now, based in London. So they come together and they've made a mental health course using wildlife and nature. So they use London Zoo and another zoo, Whipsnade Zoo, where they use wildlife and animals and nature to create a mental health course where people come for 5 days and they work with animals and they do various activities to help heal the mind for veterans, and people, police service people. But also, as well as that, very, very important to me is they send these people who have these skills, whether it be fitness, tracking, map reading, shooting. They take these people with these skills and send them to places like Africa to train anti-poaching and wildlife conservation units. So these people are also helping to save wildlife, elephants, rhinos, all these other wildlife. So yeah, I'm a big animal conservationist. Before the military, before my mountains, everything, before any of that, I was an animal lover. I studied zoology for 2.5 years. I've worked in zoos. I worked with animals. I've worked with horses. I've worked in wildlife centres. So to find a small charity organisation who does mental health, helps veterans, and helps wildlife, it was like, yeah, this place I want to help support.
By the way, how is this even related? Like you just talk about nature conservation, and then you also talk about veterans and their mental health. How are they even remotely related to?
They just are, because a lot of wildlife conservation and anti-poaching, a lot of veterans' skills are directly useful for that, so you can use the skills of these people who now no longer can use these skills because they've left the military. You can use that to help. All the skills that they've learned in the military are directly linked to helping these projects, helping train people how to shoot, how to track, how to be fitter, all these things, even like dog handling, all these crazy skills which you learn in the military are very much directly linked to wildlife conservation.
So you said that you're a big time animal lover.
Yeah.
Is that a reason you've carried Buddy along with the journey?
Oh yeah, well that was more just one big reason. Yeah, he was with me for the first 3,000 kilometers of the trip from France to Hungary to Budapest. I just love him so much. I just wanted him to be part of the first part of the journey, to give me some morale, give me a boost. And for the first part where it was safe, because I was never going to take him past Turkey in the Middle East. I was never going to take him past that. Never going to take him to Everest. Dangerous for him, and it's a good job I didn't, because as soon as I crossed into Serbia, Bulgaria, Turkey, Middle East, been chased by hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dogs. I've been nearly bitten dozens of times, chased into the road, nearly hit by trucks. He would have been attacked. It wouldn't have been anybody who took their dog past there would be very cruel.
So initially you were into Marine, right? You're a
Yes.
soldier there. Then, I mean, like, how did this idea came that you will be climbing Everest and then making this record? I mean, this is giant. This is massive.
Yeah, it was never planned. My dream from a child, as long as I can remember, was to climb Everest. And as I was growing up, I remember the channel and all. It was just a combination of all these things. I just remember thinking it's possible to bring all of these individual mammoth challenges together into one, just the ultimate adventure of my life, and it just all came into one, and just a pure coincidence that it was when I first planned it, I had no care. I don't care about records or recognition. I didn't even know that it was the longest climb of Everest in history until 6 months after I'd planned the expedition. It was only because it was to help. Somebody told me, you should try and make this shout about this. You should try and make this more public. Yeah, that's the only time when I thought, okay, for the charity and stuff, okay. To help me get sponsorship, because there's no way I could have afforded this on my own. I look after my mother, I work a normal job. So I thought, okay, I'll use this to try and find sponsorship and to try and make this dream happen.
Mm-hmm. Now, talking about the sponsorship, was it difficult for you to arrange it?
Oh, so hard. Yeah, I quit work about six months before starting, just so I could dedicate full time, non-stop, hundreds and thousands of emails and calls, going to events, trying to find it. And I managed to find like tiny little bit, 10% to get started. And then it just went from there. Luckily along the way, my amazing cameraman, like I told you, Stan, and my producer, Molly McDonald from Blue Door Productions back in the UK. These guys had just finished a project and I approached them, and then they heard about my story and they were like, wow, this is crazy. So I met them in a pub in London and they believed in me. And because of that as well, it helped bring in, very lucky, through mutual friends and companies, we managed to get enough sponsorship just to get started, And we had no idea when we first started this. We had 10%, 5% of what's needed. We had no idea whether we'd make it to the end. Yeah, and then the logistical and the sponsorship and the money, all of this was much more stressful than the physical part, which alone was crazy. So it's been the craziest journey ever.
So now, as you said that once people come to know about our story, they feel like this would be, get attached to you, or let's say be adding up in any way possible. So how did the life change before and after you made this all?
Oh God, before it was just, I just can't remember a time I wasn't like working hard and up late and doing things, And now I don't know. It hasn't been long enough for me to process it yet. I still can't believe I finished.
Someone has to pinch you then.
Someone has to pinch me, and it's going to take several months for me to realize, that I've done this. To actually.
Are you okay?
Even Everest, I still haven't processed that I've done it. It's crazy. Yeah, it's going to take a long time.
Okay. Now, how was the reaction from your mom when you said that, Mama, I'm going to do this one? Or did you even share that with her?
Oh, she knew. Yeah, she always knew the dream. It was always just like, no, you're not. No. But she always knows she's known what I'm like. And she's known this has been a dream forever. So it was just always like, yes, I am. Very much worry, tears and craziness. But she knows my life. She knows what I'm like. She knows I have these dreams.
So when you left home, what was in your mind?
Oh, I can't remember. It was just blind hope, blind hope and optimism and positivity. I always believed if I got started, if I just made that jump and I made that commitment and I took that chance, the universe will maybe reward me, and
it did.
It did, and it has.
It did.
I'm just so thankful. Yeah, I'm so thankful to be alive. I'm so thankful. We've had so many near misses, and so many near misses of death along these last 8 months. It's been crazy, and I'm so happy to be here. It's crazy.
So let us talk about the journey from you started there till the time you made it to the Everest, right? So in between, I mean, like, of course, as I mentioned earlier in the intro as well, there are a lot of, I would say, ups and downs. I don't know if, I mean, like, ups and downs itself are, I would say, a less of a word to describe what you actually went through. In Serbia, like in India, you had the accident. In Serbia, you have this attack, and there's some wild dogs were after you, and then you met an accident with that taxi, all of those things. I mean, like, what was that ultimate factor which kept you pushing? Because, you know, there were hundreds of times I feel that a person can really feel like, oh, come on, this is not my cup of tea. I better gotta, you know, leave this all then and go back to my home where I can, you know, like eat my Pringles and then enjoy on my couch.
Yeah. It's a hard question. I mean, I'm just lucky. I feel like I'm quite lucky myself, the way I think, the way my mindset is. You know, I think I have ADHD and other things. So when I just have a dream, when I have a goal, like, I'm just like, I'm either just very stubborn or just very determined. Like, no matter what happens to me, unless it's like life threatening, nothing will stop me. And it's just, I'm quite lucky to have that, you know, and it's, that's the way I deal with it. And it's anyone can do it. This is the thing. It's harder for some people, but anyone can do it. You know, it's just a very small change in the way you think. It's a perception mindset, you know, all it is a perception in the way you think, and anyone can do it. But I'm quite lucky with myself that it's just the way I've always been. It's the way I've always been, yeah.
What actually had happened there in Serbia?
But with Serbia, I wasn't there. Luckily, so it was fine. And it was just quite funny, actually. It was more of just a funny story. So the first 3 weeks, we had a camper van, and then that had to go back. And this is when Buddy went back with the camper van. But then we didn't have a vehicle for my friend, my cameraman, to be with us, you know, to film it all. So we bought a 25, 30-year-old old school bus. And my friend drove it 17 hours non-stop. He drove it from England to Budapest in Europe, non-stop. But it had all the seats in the back, and we were going to be wild camping in this school bus for the next 4 countries across thousands of kilometers and mountains. We were going to be sleeping in this, you know, I'd finish my 140 kilometers every day on the bike, and then I'd finish in this bus and we'd sleep, but they had to get rid of all the seats. So they went to this scrapyard. In Serbia, and they were so nice. They were trying to give money to pay for the seats. And they were saying, no, we don't need money. If you can take them, that's fine. And then all of a sudden they just pulled out a gun on my friends with the money and said, take the money now. But it was kind of a joke, but it was a real loaded gun, like being pointed at their face. And it was all caught on camera. And I just got a call when I was cycling, like, yeah, we've just had a gun pulled out on us for being nice. And I was like, oh, okay. I'm glad you're okay. It was fun. It was hilarious. It was great.
So did you freeze while those things happened?
No, I didn't. I just stopped and I said, are you okay? You know, like, they said, yeah, it was okay. Like, I think they were a little bit shaken, but it was fine.
I mean, you must have thought, obstacles would come along the way, but
yeah, of course,
you might not have thought that particular would happen.
I mean, I'm very, very thankful that the only time we got held up at gunpoint was for someone being kind. What are the chances of that?
Oh, wow, that's a better word, I would say. And what about the case with India?
Oh, India's just crazy. I mean, it was a whole nother thing, you know. We knew visas and things would be difficult. We were told when we got to Oman that we would be able to get our Indian visas in our passport in Islamabad. So it was okay. So we got to Pakistan, and I'd done my cycling, you know, it was 1,600 kilometers in Pakistan alone, all the way to Lahore. And then we had to drive 6 hours to Islamabad, expecting to go into the Indian embassy and get our stamps. And they didn't even know we were coming in the end. So the meetings we had with the Indian ambassador, the Pakistani ambassador, they'd gone, they just obviously no one had taken notice. So it was very frustrating because you can't fly directly between Pakistan and India at all because of the relations. And obviously we couldn't cross the land border because we only had an e-visa. So it was so we had to pay money we did not have. So we cycled right up into the gate, the Wagah border in Lahore, Amritsar in India. We cycled right up to the Pakistani border, touch the gate, literally physically touch the gate, watch the ceremony. And then we had to fly 3,000 kilometers back to Dubai, back to Amritsar. Then we came back to watch the ceremony from the Indian side, from Amritsar, and got to within 2 meters of the gate where we were 24 hours before. So we had to pay $2,000 and travel 3,000 kilometers to cover 2 meters of distance. 2 meters to keep pure, but we wanted to keep true to the mission, you know, so everybody could see we were here yesterday. We've done every single meter apart from 2 meters. I walked back 2 meters to make up for it. It's fine. And so it was crazy, and it was a stressful day because it was such a rush to do that flying, and had to fly with bikes to cover this tiny little bit of distance. And I left my front wheel, my whole wheel and helmet, I left in Pakistan. So when we got to India the next day and I was putting my bike together, there was no wheel. I completely lost my wheel. Luckily, we had a spare bike. And I used the front. So for the last 3,000 kilometers, I was using the front wheel of a completely different bike on my bike to cycle across India. It was crazy.
Have you been in connection with your mother all this while?
With my mother?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Have you been texting her?
Yes, yeah. I mean, at least every week or few days, I would call her, let her know I'm alive.
I think the press must have been following you everywhere meanwhile.
A little bit, not much.
Okay.
Like lots of local press, you know, lots of local things in India, for example, you know, in Oman, Middle East, lots of little things, but no, it didn't go crazy until we finished.
Now you are such a big celebrity now,
I wouldn't say
officially. So how does your mother feel about that? Does she take a lot of pride on that? Mitch has made it.
God bless her. No, she's very happy. We're both kind of just, we're not used to it. It's very strange. Pardon me, very strange. We don't know how to react at the moment. We'll get used to it. Luckily, not many people recognise me now because I've cut my beard off. So we don't get stopped as often now.
That's pretty interesting, actually. So how long are you planning to stay here in Nepal this time?
We were going to stay for a bit longer, but my mother flies home tomorrow.
Okay.
So I'm going with her because she's not a very good traveller. Bless her. So I'm going to go with her because we have lots of stuff to do back in the UK.
Will you be returning?
Interviews at some point, of course, 100%. I'll be back to Nepal, but I'm not sure when.
But not immediately.
No, maybe October. Maybe October I'll come back. But yeah, we'll see.
You mentioned about you just come to know about the Everest and having the dream of climbing it one day.
Yeah.
But like you intentionally made it more exciting by crossing the English Channel thing and then cycling and then walking, or is it something like, why don't we just go and make it a Guinness World Record, something like that? So what was in your mind when you just did that all?
It wasn't, again, no thought of world records or Guinness World Records. Ironically, Guinness have now emailed me trying to get me to do the record, but it was just no planning really about this. It was just.
I am asking this because a lot of the people blame that these foreigners comes and like trying to milk something out of it just for the name and fame. So what's your take on that one?
Some people do, as I say, some people do. I don't think I'm even gonna bother with making it Guinness World Record. I don't need records. I know what I've done. I'm proud of what I've done. My family know what I've done. I never cared about records, about a record. All this, as I said, all this was just lots of childhood dreams and challenges just rolled into one big adventure of my life. I don't care about records and making the headlines. It's just a coincidence that if it happens,
So how does a life of yours look typically? A day.
God, I've never really had a typical day. It's been so crazy.
Going everywhere.
My ideal day would be back at home on the beach, walking my dog for 2 hours, having a coffee, and planning another adventure.
So are you kind of like, you've already made an identity, of course, for sure. And you have made a history, actually, not just an identity. But my question is that, would you be pursuing this forever, like climbing mountain thing or doing this? Or it's just done once and dusted?
This adventure, I don't think I'll ever do anything quite as long or as big again. I think I will always be doing adventures. It's just the way I am. I love the outdoors and adventure. And
It doesn't have to be precisely like
it
this.
doesn't have to be world record breaking, no, at all. And that's like, for me, just going out to my local mountains, my local hills and camping brings me just as much happiness as this.
So coming to Nepal, you really had to go through a lot. And also talking about India and Pakistan, the door was closed, right?
Yeah.
So how about the door of your hearts? Is it still closed, or there's some space for some other people romantically?
Well, romantically, my girlfriend at home is very happy.
Okay.
She's very happy I'm finished. So, I think I owe her a lot of my heart now. So I will be doing that.
I am asking these things because people will say that, the life of mountaineers, or let's say this athlete or whatever.
Their heart is always in the mountains.
Yeah, it's always there in the mountain, and they have no family life. And hearing to you, you're quite into family, and then you love.
Yeah, it's hard.
Yeah,
so
you
it's
love
a hard
to be in your
balance.
pajamas. So how do you do that?
I don't know. I'm going to go home and try my best, truly try my best to try and find a nice balance. As I say, I genuinely don't need to be chasing records all my life and doing 6-month, 8-month, year trips. I'm happy to go home and plan more expeditions, but smaller stuff, just as fun. But so I definitely am excited. I feel like I can definitely balance my life around these adventures and my life now, but we'll see.
So my question to you is that since you came to Nepal, you followed all the procedures, but as a foreigner, how easy or difficult it is to access to the Everest?
I guess overall it's quite easy, but it's just expensive. It's got very easy, but now obviously there's more restrictions coming in. There's always restrictions coming in, the new tax this next year, $15,000 extra. You have to climb a 7,000 meter peak. So, I think, it's becoming harder. It's becoming harder for people now.
Does it need to be revisited for some sort of, I would say, some sort of, leniency in that?
Not leniency. I understand the money, but one thing which is completely wrong, is just having a 7,000 meter peak rule. It's completely wrong. There needs to be just a list of mountains, Amadablam, for example, which these mountains qualify you to climb Everest. If you've done this and this and this or this, then you've done it. You can't
Well, if you look at the practical ground, we have, Adriana just before, and then she just said that, we need to have at least exposure and some bit of training just before, aiming to be there on the top of the world. And don't you think it's quite practical and, to make mandatory for people to scale some amount of, height
absolutely
before going in there?
Yeah, 100% mandatory to climb some mountains, but to just blanket it for 7,000 meter peaks is completely wrong.
Okay.
Completely wrong. Because it should be dependent on the company, and the company then, like AGA, if somebody has climbed Abuche and Island Peak and the company is confident in their ability, they should be allowed. It completely depends. It shouldn't just be one, 7,000 meter mountain, which is very inaccessible and expensive to some people. It should be a list of mountains which are definitely good. As I say, for example, Amadablam, if you've climbed Amadablam, then you qualify to climb Everest. But also it's down to responsible companies like AGA, who are amazing, being able to say, this person is ready.
What was the hardest part? Swimming across through the English Channel, climbing the Everest, or cycling walking?
I'd still say to this day, the channel, Day one, it was 18 hours and 19 minutes, non-stop swimming. My right shoulder was completely seized up. I had tendonitis in my wrists. I drank so much, inhaled so much water, I could hardly breathe. The last 5 hours was just 5 hours of trying not to drown. It wasn't swimming, it was just trying not to drown. It was honestly staying alive became my priority for the last 5 hours. It was some of the worst weather they've ever had. Some of the worst weather of that whole season was in the last 6 hours of my swim. Yeah, it was crazy. My boat was the only boat to make it to France in them 6 hours, if that makes sense.
Let's come to the Everest. When you went there, I think you already came to Everest Base Camp earlier as well.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So, and then that was your second time when you just went for this whole purpose of, making this record thing, if I'm not wrong.
Third time.
Third time, okay.
Yes, I climbed there. I'd done base camp when I was 18. And that's when I first made a promise that I'd come back, to myself. And then 2023, October, when I first met Mingma, I climbed Amadablam. That was I came back specifically to do Amadablam for my tick in the box, for my training for Everest. So again, like Amadablam complete, I'm ready for Everest. Okay. If I can do this, I can do that. That was the thought planning. So yeah, that was then. And this is my third time.
Was it the mountain calling?
Yeah, definitely. Big time. 100%.
So what was the first emotion that you had when you scaled the Everest?
Oh, disbelief, like just complete kind of like thinking this isn't real. I spent the whole week, even now, I still worry that I'm going to wake up and I'm going to still be at base camp, or I'm going to wake up in some camp in the Middle East and this has all been a dream. So relief was probably the main kind of emotion, relief and disbelief.
So you were not something completely new to the idea of climbing the Everest, because you have had pretty much, of course, the practical thing as well, as you mentioned, the Amadablam and other thing as well. But for a novice person who is like somebody doing it for the first time, climbing the Everest, what are the things that you think are challenging?
Exposure, the altitude, being used to that lack of oxygen. For the complete novice, if no one's ever done any mountains, luckily my training in the Marines, I've done Arctic training, things like that. So I'm just used to the most important things are the small things, like changing socks, keeping your feet dry, keeping your, for most people, I think the most challenging things are just the tiny little things which you don't think about, keeping hands warm, techniques to keep hands warm, and knowing your body. That's the most important thing. Knowing when you're getting cold and all this kind of stuff. The biggest challenge for novices, and that's why it's so important for them to go and do like these smaller mountains, Labuche, all these other mountains, is more just so they can understand their own body. That's the main reason why people need to do it. Because if you understand your own body, you can identify as soon as something is going to happen on Everest. You can communicate and talk to your Sherpa, and you can avoid any trouble.
Who was there talking about the Sherpa? Who was there to assist you?
I was so lucky, to have both Gelji and Puri. They're both amazing, like brothers. And when I first left England, I didn't know who I was climbing Everest with. It wasn't until I got to the Middle East, I was like 6,000 kilometers into my bike ride. But when they reached out to say about climbing Everest with them, and I knew Adriana, I knew about Gelji. We had a shared sponsor, and I just had a good feeling. I had a great feeling. I knew straight away that we'd be a family, and that's the most important thing. Having a good relationship with who you're climbing with, And when things got tough up on Everest, at one point, like between the balcony and the summit, my feet started to get cold, and I got a little bit worried. Not too worried, but I just said in my head, I just literally said, oxygen, Gelji. I kept on repeating these two words. As long as I have them two, I've got nothing to worry about. And I just repeated these words over and over again, and it was no problem. I had complete faith.
Looking back, what do you think? What have you gained and what have you lost?
What have I gained? I've lost a lot of weight.
Good for you.
How have I lost? I wouldn't say I've lost too much. I've gained so much. I've gained like kind of a great sense of faith in humanity. Like the amount of countries we've been through, 19 countries, the cultures, the people that have shown us hospitality. India, Pakistan, Iraq, Oman, the Middle East, the people we've met. I've just gained so much like insight into life and to people, and again, I've just learned so much. I've gained so much more sense about myself, and what I'm capable of, and I'm just so happy that it all worked out. I'm just so happy.
So you talked about supporting people, regarding their mental health. You also talk about nature conservation, and considering that recently, because of global warming, the Himalayas are dying.
Yeah,
right.
massively.
So how do you think we as a person, we as a team, we as somebody who is an enthusiast or who are somewhat related to these things should react, act, and then, perform or behave?
It's just small changes you make in the way you climb, making sure you bring down all your garbage, making sure there's no mess, trying to spread the word about, the global warming, being as kind of carbon friendly as you can be. There's many ways to climb responsibly. It's just about
let's break this way
how to.
as an individual, as somebody relating to this field, and as someone who has got now a global media exposure. How would you do this thing?
I mean, I need to learn more about it, to be honest. I need to really, really to be able to. I don't feel qualified to give this advice just yet. But climbing any mountain, it's just it's just. As I say, being as clean and picking up your own waste and traveling as responsible as possible. Walking, trekking. If you feel okay, if you're good, you should always be trekking. You know what I mean? I took a helicopter, yes, but it was very, very bad. It's a fatigued kind of thing. But always use trekking only. If you can. And I know I came all the way there just by not using any vehicle transport, but obviously that's not realistic for most people. It's just be responsible. I need to really look into it more myself to be able to give advice, really. But
But talking about that, is Everest dirty?
Is Everest
Dirty.
It's not as bad as I thought. No. As I say, it's absolutely incredible. We're making videos soon, and I met the SPCC doctors. I met the doctors, the drone operators, Milan. So many amazing people. It's got so much. I don't know if it's got better, but it's nowhere near as bad as I thought. The amount of garbage which is being brought down by drone, by people, and the regulations that have come in. Obviously, the SPCC have done an amazing job, and it's just it's nowhere near as bad as what back a few years ago people would say. You even get comments now saying how disgusting it is and dirty. These are from people that have never been there. They don't really see it. It's beautiful up there. There's not much, and it's regulations are coming in, and all the organisations are doing such a great job to clean it up. It's really, really good. But each individual climber needs to be 100% responsible for their own mess. Any little, even if it was a tiny wrapper that fell out of my pocket, even at Camp 4, I would pick it up. It's just the way I am. I've always been a naturalist and conservationist, but if everybody had that same mindset of you're there, you clean up what you do, then it would be a much better place.
So you're an epitome of somebody who really advocates there is no limit, and the ultimate limit is that something that you accept, right? Mm-hmm. So how do you define these things?
Everybody has their own definition. It's as simple as that. I can't define it for anybody because everybody's definition of possible is different. Possible is not a real word. The only person that knows that definition is looking in the mirror. It's as simple as that. It doesn't matter if it's a 13,000k triathlon or if it's a 5k walk. Your own possible is your own possible, and you're in charge of it, and you can't ever let anybody else tell you what is what, because that other person has no idea. They have no idea who you are or what you're capable of, but you truly are. You're only limited by your own imagination.
So what were the rumors you might have heard about Everest before being there personally, and then that were burst after you actually been there?
The rumors in general, all crazy.
Yeah.
Obviously you have the rumors of the overcrowdedness and the queues and the garbage and all this kind of stuff. I was obviously quite lucky because of the amazing organisation of Gildra, Adriana and Beauty, Adria. I was very lucky for them. So I think I avoided a lot of them stereotypes from the crowding and all that, just because of good skills. I wouldn't say it's not as bad as it sounds, because it is right now. Today up there, it's very, very crowded and dangerous. Another reason why you should have quite strict regulations, etc. But as I say, in terms of how dirty and that you people say it is, it's definitely better than expected. definitely better than expected. For example, you get if you leave gas cannons, if you leave oxygen bottles now up there, you get fined. If you don't come down with it, you get a big fine. And every bottle you bring down, you get rewarded. You get paid by the government. So it's the government definitely doing good things, but obviously there can always be improvements. Again, like maybe bigger kind of penalties for foreigners who are just not who get caught just littering or something. Like if they're not respecting the environment there, then they shouldn't be there.
So you already are now a big name back in England and here in Nepal and around the world, I suppose. Yes, you are actually. So how are you gonna cash it out? How are you gonna make the big out of it? Like in a good way?
I don't know. I mean, it's very important, to capitalize on this. I hope, So that's one of the reasons why I'm going home tomorrow. I have lots of news and news interviews and stuff in studio and things like that. Hopefully to spread the story and spread the message and positivity as much as possible. But lots of ways. I mean, hopefully for me, I'm good at talking. My ADHD makes me not be quiet. So really hoping to be able to do lots of speaking, do lots of talks. So I'm hoping to do a tour talking about to try and speak about the mindset and the adventure and everything else. The book is coming as well. And then, again, the amazing job that my team have done, Molly and Stan, from not just day one, from 8 months, but from 6 months before that. We have so much kind of footage, and we've captured the journey so well that hopefully a documentary will be coming as well.
Yeah, you talked about the book. About that, can you give something about the book? Can you drop some hint about the book? What is it exactly? Of course, it's about the journey, and then
it's not just. I mean, it's hopefully it's not just retelling the story which has been told. It's not just going to be a story of retelling the adventure. It's going to be more of, as I say, talking about the principles and the mindset that I've been telling you about. It's more about using them principles to help try and inspire people to follow the simple rules, being, anyone can achieve anything type of thing. Using these principles and the mindset values that I'm talking about, and then basing this challenge and my previous challenges in life, basing them around that rather than basing it around just the story. I'll be using examples of this expedition to talk about how to live a stronger mindset.
What was the moment that really made you, break down, or let's say quit it? I mean, there were so many hardships, but I know you're sort of such a resilient soul. Yet again, of course, at the end of the day, we're humans. Yeah, and then we just feel like giving up. So can you just share some of the stories? Like, had there been any moment?
Moments. One of the only times it happened to me was about 10 hours into the swim. There was like a moment with the tide. I wasn't moving for about half an hour. I just wasn't moving while swimming. And I remember this time, the cloud of doubt, the shadow of doubt came over my mind. And it was like, overwhelming for a moment, massively overwhelming. Like I was thinking I've got 13,000K in front of me. I've got the whole world. I've got Everest. I'm not even moving right now, but I was very lucky. I managed to just power through and push my dad and push my family and push the charity. I pushed all the reasons of why I was here into the front of my mind, and I just pushed it out of my way and managed to keep going.
Interesting. Now, where do we see you 5 years down the line?
5 years? Oh God, that's a good question. Hopefully I'll still be talking and helping people, and that's my dream, to help people, inspire them, and I'd still be doing adventures. Hopefully in 5 years I'll definitely still be doing these adventures and making and trying to spread the message and positivity. And hopefully I'll have kids in 5 years as well. So hopefully I'll be a dad.
Okay. So not just about the Everest in particular, but overall the mountains that you have been of Nepal. What are the things that are different from the rest of the other world?
Nepal, it's just nothing compares to here. Nothing compares to here, the people and just the beauty and the magical, the feeling you have on the mountains here is just, I don't know, it's something different. There's something different, it's like, It's like you're meant to be. I was like, you feel like you're meant to be here and you're welcomed here. And there's very few places in the world which compare. Yeah, very few places.
Drop us some of the possibilities that we can do with our climate and this mountains, apart from whatever we are doing right now.
I mean, it's a good question. I can't say much apart from the possibilities are endless. You have so many mountains, so much beautiful, like the most beautiful country in the world. I can't think of any specific examples, but absolutely anything. Yeah, and I'm excited to see what happens in the next 5 or 10 years, and I hope I can come back and help be part of it as well. I really hope.
And there are so many young men and women who are listening to you, and of course the teens, who really would love to pursue your footpath, right? Or let's say follow your footprints, actually. What suggestion would you like to give them?
Just do not be scared for 1 second. Do not be scared. Start small, and anything is possible. Just like we've spoken about. Do not be afraid for 1 second to do it. If you want to do it, doesn't matter if everybody tells you it's silly or you can't do it. Even if you can, but always try. I knew when I started this that obviously there's always a possibility it might not happen, of course. But I would say just no matter what, don't be scared to try. Don't be scared to start. Don't be scared to start small, because at the end of your life, when you get to your deathbed, are you going to be more disappointed that you tried and failed, or that you didn't try at all?
Wow, beautiful sentences. But again, practical things are there, meaning to say that there are some financial barriers also.
Oh, yeah,
and
massively.
Everybody cannot be as fortunate as Britishers or let's say the Westerners to do that.
Exactly.
So if someone really wants to do that, but again, is held back because of those ABCD constraints, what is that scratch from where they can start from?
Doesn't matter. Okay, I guess if you're Western or Nepali, it's very different for me. I can't give advice for people that are here.
But in general,
in general, yeah. You just do not be afraid to be knocking on 1,000 doors. No matter what happens, the most practical advice is, make calls, go to places you didn't think about. You'll be told no 1,000 times before you get told yes once. So just main advice is, as I say, just do not be scared. Do not be scared to ask people, to ask questions, to put your story out there, and do not be afraid to try and push your boundaries. Yeah.
Wow. So in one word or two, if you have to describe yourself, who is Mitch now?
God's great question. Mitch is a tired, hungry...
For?
Poor, very poor. Yeah, at the moment in debt. He's a very poor man he's very poor.
No, you didn't get me. I think it was the accent.
Yeah.
I didn't say poor. I said for.
Oh, but also poor.
No, you're not. I need to change the definition from the dictionary now.
No, I'm a deeply, deeply thankful and satisfied man. I've just achieved all of my dreams in my entire life and then some before 32 years old. So I'm just so thankful right now. I'm a very thankful man, and I'm thankful to be alive, and I'm just so happy to see what comes next.
I was noticing the tattoo on your hand there, and I think above there, a little up there, there's one cross as well. Are you religious?
No. This is a military kind of old from World War One.
Oh, really?
It's a very famous motto, which just means the millions of lives that was lost. It just means we will never forget. We will never forget your sacrifice, basically. But I love all. I'm not religious per se, but I love and respect all religion, and yeah. As Everest as well. I already have Everest tattooed. Yeah, but I need to get a new one.
So you're a Marine soldier who resigned, I suppose.
Yes,
you did, right?
Yeah.
Now, will you be again willing to join if the government offers you?
No, probably not. I'm still obliged to join. If something happens, I still have to go back.
Yeah,
which is
that's
crazy.
for everyone else, but willingly.
But no, there's no reason. I loved my time in there. The mindset I have was helped was helped carved by my time in there. You know, it's such a big part of the life. It helps carve your mindset into being solid, strong, and being comfortable and being uncomfortable. You know, it's amazing. I wouldn't change it a second, but there's too much ahead of me now. I don't think I go back.
Well, you have given the greatest example of human determination, resilience, and perseverance. Yet again, as I've already mentioned, at the end of the day, we are humans and we still do have some fears inside. So is there some fears and worry inside you now? If there is any.
Yeah, always is. There always is. And right now, my biggest fear is how I'm going to deal with normal life. My biggest fear is how am I going to be, you know, how am I going to deal with being a normal person again? And I just, you know, I hope and pray that, you know, I know I've done what I can, and yeah, I'm just thankful to hopefully have helped some people, and I'm going to continue to help people.
Whenever you're breaking down, where do you bring that energy to collect yourself?
I don't know, just always, I always do it just by, I can, whenever I receive a message from somebody telling me thank you and you've helped me and things like this, it gives me a boost of energy back. So
okay.
I think I'll always be able to find somewhere, you know, to find energy again.
For now, you don't have to go really far because there's one Xtreme energy drink, our energy sponsor partner.
Perfect.
So you can grab one, please.
Perfect.
That's for now. Yeah, there you go. And would you be kind enough to just give us a live feedback? How do you feel about it right now? We want you to try it.
Oh, how do I feel about the drink?
Yeah, please.
Okay. I feel like I've got ADHD and energy drinks make me go crazy. But
How do you like it?
Very nice.
Do you really recommend others to try that?
Yes.
Please. Mitch is offering everyone, please mark his words. There you go. Okay, now this brings us to the another segment of our show, and this is a bit of a rapid fire question answers. So you have no time to think.
Oh God. Okay.
Just say it whatever comes in your mind. Okay.
Okay.
And we love no sugar coated. All right. So the first question to our record holder, Mitch, and who is of course really very revered and going to be more famous sooner, hopefully. If you have to describe one word for your Everest summit moment,
Magical.
what's tougher, climbing Everest or staying optimistic for 240 days?
240 days staying optimistic.
Buddy or base camp?
Buddy.
Who kept you more grounded?
My girlfriend Nikki.
Okay, all right. Yet to explore. I think I better need to extend it. So first item you'd have saved in your backpack if you're stuck in a blizzard.
It's like a hot water bottle.
What is that?
Don't know.
Okay. So the one country that surprised you the most on your journey.
Pakistan.
And why is it?
The people, landscapes, incredible.
Okay, just hold this segment for a while. I would like to know one thing because, you know, Pakistan, it is said that it's more of a, you know, it has got a different image because of media trial and portrayal. Does it align with the actual image that you see?
No.
How was it like?
It's like the country is so beautiful, and the people and the food, the most friendly people and everything. One of the most, in the entire world. Yeah, it's as friendly as Nepal.
Okay. All right. So one thing about climate change you witnessed firsthand on the trail.
Yeah. Oh, just it's crazy. The change in the Kumbu icefall just in the 1 week of being there. The first time I went up to Camp 2, it was like solid ice, and then coming down. And then the second time going up, it was waterfalls.
So most of the people we have as leaders, and you know, right now, even on this current world, some of them really deny even that the climate change is a thing. Do you agree to that?
Oh no, it's 100% a thing. You know, there's no doubt about it.
Yes, the climate changing.
Yeah, yes, it's changing. It's changing. That is a fact. You know, there's nobody can deny that. You know, like you can't deny that. It's yeah. And we are contributing to that. We are accelerating that a lot.
Do you believe Everest will be climbable 50 years from now?
I think it'll be climbable, but it'll be probably be much more difficult. Yeah.
If you could plant one message in the snow on Everest for the future climbers, what would it say?
I would say probably too deep. It would say believe and pick up your rubbish.
Become a rubbish.
And
Nice one.
believe and believe.
Okay.
And believe.
Believe in yourself.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So your biggest fear on this journey, physical injury or emotional burnout?
Oh, biggest fear, probably physical injury. Yeah.
You
More
have-
than emotional burnout.
Did you
because
sustain one?
No, but because I've had 2 knee surgeries and stuff like that, I knew, but from me, I knew that my body would give out long before my mind. You know, yeah.
So plastic waste in mountains, is it worse than we think? We already discussed that though.
No, not that I saw. Not that I saw. I think good improvements have been made.
Describe the Himalayas in just 3 adjectives.
Free or majestic, inspiring, and stunning.
Okay. Are we loving mountains to death? Yes or no?
Am I loving mountains to death?
Yes.
100%.
Yes.
Yes.
If you had to do this again, same route, or go higher and harder?
Higher and harder.
Oh my God, really?
A
Aren't you
little bit.
done with that
A
all?
little bit. Or maybe no oxygen.
Oh my God. I'm already breathless now. So, one adventure that still haunts your bucket list.
Which adventure still haunts my bucket list? Oh,
Yeah.
God, there's so many.
So many. Drop the name.
South Pole. It's coming.
I
But in a very different way.
I need to pinch you. So,
Antarctica.
what's the one thing Everest taught you about climate survival and yourself?
Climate survival. Just it taught me that, you know, human beings are not meant to be so far up, and that it taught me that nature is really in charge. Nature is the boss. It taught me that, you know, if you keep true to yourself, that you can get through it. You know, it really did. I know it sounds deep, but it did.
And last question to you. If Everest could speak to you
Oh God.
right after you climb it,
Yeah.
what it would have probably been saying
What
to
would she
you?
have said to me? I hope she would have said good effort. But she probably was saying, get off me now.
Get up now.
Maybe.
No pun intended. I
No
guess.
pun intended me.
Okay.
Get down. No,
Oh,
I mean, I don't know. I had such deep respect for the mountain
all right.
and for her. I hope that she, you know, I'd like to think she thought, you know, congratulations.
Okay, that was it. Thank you so much, Mitch. I believe you played very well. And we have got beautiful gifts for our
thank you so
guest.
much.
So would you be kind enough to receive them, please?
Please, thank you so much.
Or the hand down there.
No.
Just there for the picture. Okay, let me show you what it has inside, because it has got a beautiful letter message for you, a customized. Would you be reading that, please?
Thank you very much.
Why don't
This
you read
warm,
that?
fuzzy feeling.
Okay.
This warm, fuzzy feeling. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
And it has got a message inside.
Just for you.
Just for you, of course.
Because you deserve something special, something handmade. Such a great climber thoughts you on this generation.
Yes.
Great. Wish you luck. Karma family. Thank you so much.
Yes, that's from a Karma coffee.
That's amazing.
And here is the actual coffee. I want you to
coffee.
see.
Yes.
Yes, with a beautiful mug, I
caffeine,
guess.
more caffeine.
Yeah. There you go.
Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
here it is.
Nembang.
Yes. And also, yeah, why don't you just please take that out.
Please. Let's have a look, shall we?
Why not?
Lovely.
It's a mug there for you.
Lovely mug. Mug for a mug.
Mm. Yes, and this is the
Ooh.
actual coffee inside.
Oh, perfect.
A chocolate one.
Chocolate one.
Yeah.
I'll open that.
Lovely.
So beautiful.
You've got some extra to carry along with you now.
That's fine. This chocolate will be gone very soon. Oh, look at that. Beautiful. Thank you, Karma. Thank you so much.
All right, and by the time you do that, I've got something special for you from our another sponsor partner, that is from Samsara Emporium. So it is a mandala, and it has got some really religious importance.
Thank you.
All right.
Ah,
So how do you like that?
That's incredible.
Yeah.
This is going to be going right next to my painting of Everest.
Okay. We would love to have one picture back once you just get them. Don't forget to send us, okay?
Of course I will.
All right.
Thank you very much.
So, and whenever you fly, don't forget to take Simrik Air because it is there for us.
Yes, absolutely.
All right. So, Mitch, thank you so much for coming to our show and sharing us your heart out. Actually, before we end the session, or let's say the episode, do you have something to say to your well-wishers, to your viewers around the world?
Oh, good question. Yes, I mean, just reiterate the message from the start. You know, you don't have to be Superman, Superwoman, superhuman, or born in crazy rich places to achieve, you know, your wildest dreams. It all comes down to mindset. It all comes down to belief. Believe in yourself and anything is possible.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for having me.